Hey y'all, Blaumagier here, and let's play the Mega Man Anniversary Collection. I actually have 2 copies of this game. And it's telling me to press start, but okay, there it is. I have not played original Xbox in a long time, so I couldn't remember where the start button was. But like I said, I actually have 2 copies of this game. I bought it on the GameCube when it was new, and I recently bought it on the Xbox for the purpose of recording this series. And there's a reason for that. So Mega Man 1 through 6 on this collection, it's not the same as if you buy Mega Man Legacy Collection. The Legacy Collection is just straight up ports of the NES games. The Anniversary Collection on the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox, it's a port and translation of the Japanese exclusive PS1 Rockman complete works of Mega Man 1 through 6. And it's a little bit different from the NES games. At their core, they are the NES games. But what's different is, first off, it had a CD soundtrack. It's not just straight up better quality versions of all of the music. A lot of the tracks are just different tracks in general. And these games also feature an option called Navi Mode, which I will get more into when we get into the actual games. But the important thing to note is that along with Navi Mode, the Complete Works version allows you to hot swap your weapons with the L and R buttons, which you cannot do in the NES, obviously, because there's no L and R button. And you can't do this in the Legacy Collection since that's just the NES games. But, actually, I should probably go into the options first. System options. Not much there. You can actually change the screen size here. It's already stretching to fit the screen. I don't know why music was turned down. I didn't save. Oh, you know what? I think I do know why I turned music down. I'll just leave it like that. Gameplay options. Yeah, Navi mode, I want to turn it on. Yeah, it actually has an easy mode for 1 through 7. I'm going to leave it on normal. I don't need to play easy. You can also change your starting lives, which, again, I'm going to leave it alone, but it's nice to have that option there. And let's take a look at controller options. Okay, I see what the difference is. Configuration 1 and 2 just alternates A and B as jump with X and Y as shoot. Just flips those. And configuration 3 and 4 versus 1 and 2 just changes the next and previous weapons with the rush and beat. Ugh. Dang it, I wanted jump on A and alternative shoot on B. Alright, we're going with configuration 1. Okay, now let's start Mega Man 1. So we have 6 Robot Masters to choose from in Mega Man 1, and I'm going to start with Cutman. Okay, there's no slide in this game, so the slide button's not going to do anything. And like I thought, alternative shoot is just a rapid fire button. So, I guess most people would probably start with Cutman, and that is a perfectly valid one to start with. Down there in the bottom left, we have an exclamation mark. That means we get a Navi mode message. Dr. Light shows up for Mega Man 1 to be our Navi. It says, watch out for the lift movements. Where the track is narrow, the lift is tilted. Be careful not to be dropped. And find a good time to jump. I kind of missed my opportunity there, so gonna wait for that to come back. Yeah, whenever you see that exclamation mark, that's when you have a Navi message to check out. Oops. Gotta be careful on these lifts. When the track drops out, the lift will drop you. Yeah, and if you go into the menu here when you don't have an exclamation mark, you don't get any message at all. I do kind of wish there was like a general message to display, but it's fine. Yeah, if you miss that first cycle, it's a little bit rougher. You don't have to be too exact to get that, but you do need to cut it kind of close. Ooh. I do not like fighting these picklemen. At least not that one shows up on that 2-tile wide ledge. And I still miss the 1-up. Okay, that is called a Big Eye, and I usually just refer to these robots as giant stomper bots. Almost every Robot Master stage and every game in the series has some kind of giant stomper robot right outside the boss gate. And most times it's not worth trying to even fight them. An enormous power comes from the shutter. Are you ready? So, Cutman is probably the one you usually want to fight first, but I fight Gutsman first because he is also weak to the Mega Buster, taking 2 damage instead of the 1 damage other Robot Masters take. But it is true, Cutman takes 5 instead of 1 or 2. When Gutsman lands, the ground shakes. If you are there, you'll not be able to move, but it will not cause any damage. You don't need to try to avoid it too much. That is a lie. You definitely don't want to get stunned if you can at all avoid it, because then you can't... Gutsman, what are you doing? Yeah, if you, I can't get my thought out. If you get stunned when he decides to jump straight up instead of forward or back, he's going to summon a rock and you'll still be stunned and not be able to jump over it by the time it would hit you. Gutsman can be pretty trolly. As you saw there, it's very unusual for him to actually jump up on the rocks where you come into the door. He did that time and it caused problems. Usually I just stay on those rocks and shoot him and just time my jumps. I like to go to Cutman next because He's weak to the super arm. And actually, in this NES version of the game, your only chance to use Cutman's weakness against him is in his stage. So that's another reason to do Gutsman first. If you fall into this hole, you will not survive despite how much energy you have left. I don't know that that was necessary, but I guess somebody might need that advice. I do like that you have Beat telling you which way to go. That is nice. It's not always necessary in most cases. I like this room because if you just truck on through it, you won't get hit. Which is more than I can say for the room with the cutters. Go forward. Ignore the scissors. Thanks for the update, Dr. Light. I would have done that if you hadn't interrupted me. Now, of course, you can ignore the Navi mode if you find it annoying. And you could just keep it on to have the much improved UI. Which I do believe it is an improvement. If you turn Navi mode off, it'll just look like the NES games are. Although you will still be able to hot swap your weapons with the shoulder buttons. Or whatever you have your hot swap set to. These enemies take a lot of hits, and they seem to have a low drop rate for any kind of item, so I generally just try to ignore them as much as possible. So in Mega Man 1, items that are just on the ground like that energy, they will respawn if you go on to a different screen and come back. But I wouldn't advise doing it for that one because you will get clonked by the enemies that are on the screen there. Watch out for the thorn, Mega Man. Okay, thorn is a weird way to describe a spike. Big Eye is a tough enemy. Avoiding him is the way to overcome this step. You know, the messages from the Navi mode in this stage make me feel like they really intend for you to do this level first. I did just barely kill that thing in time. Usually it's best to wait for a big jump and then just go underneath it. I definitely got lucky. So Mega Man 1 is the only game in the series that has enemies in the boss hallway. A strong reaction by the shutter. Be careful. It is also the only game in the series that has a score. Even if Cutman is close, be calm and attack. If you can incur damage to him, you can thrust back. Alright, so he is weak to the super arm, but you only get 2 shots despite how much energy you may have. And yeah, you still take damage from projectiles after you defeat the boss, so be careful of that if you can. But if you do miss with one or both blocks, you can still easily take care of Cutman with the Mega Buster. Next up is Elec Man. Probably the hardest Robot Master in the game, just because Mega Man's weak to him. Some enemies will not be affected by normal shots. Use many other methods to attack. Find those weakness weapons. Good advice right there from Dr. Light. I do find it easier to just use the rolling cutter there to destroy the bots here on the ground. It is nice to have the hot swap in this game. I think the last time I played through the Anniversary Collection, I didn't really like using hot swap, but I've gotten a lot more accustomed to doing it. So I'm probably going to take much better advantage of it now. It does also help being in Navi mode, where you have this UI and it's a little easier to tell which weapon you're on than just memorizing the color palette. Watch out for block order and timing to jump over the blocks. This is our first instance in the series of these reappearing, disappearing blocks, otherwise known as Yoku blocks. I don't believe Yoku is an official name for these blocks, but it is one that's pretty widely accepted by the fan base. I believe it gets its name from a fan-made robot master named Yoku Man. Or maybe Yoku Man was made afterward and the term was conceived of elsewhere. But I do know it was like a fan-made creation. I'm not entirely sure which fan-made creation it came from, though. Okay, up here is the reason why I do Gutsman first. That item there, while it is impossible to pass by it and not see it, it is absolutely required for completion of the game, and you totally can just walk right past it and not pick it up. If you don't have the super arm or the weapon we get from Elec Man, you cannot get this. So just another reason to start with Gutsman. There are items behind the block. Can you use something to move the block? Why, yes we can. We can use the super arm. But it is important to note that you can also destroy Guts blocks with the Thunder Beam that you get from Elec Man. Also, don't worry about running out of weapon energy too terribly much, because Mega Man 1 is kind of special in that all the Robot Masters die really fast to their weaknesses, like just a couple of hits. Unless you just went into the fight with really low energy, it's almost certain that you'll not run out of energy during the boss fight. Do be careful of these one-tile platform screens. Those pits are bottomless. Not all pits are death pits. Some pits you simply fall down a screen, but not the case with those. So, Elec Man has a unique and rather irritating boss corridor. Doesn't have enemies, but it does have stage hazards that annoyingly we just have to wait on. There's a higher enemy above this. Nope. Do be careful of that. If you pause or go into the Navi mode menu, you will like teleport, which will make you drop off of ladders. I think this only occurs in Mega Man 1 and 2. A fierce power. Find a weapon to attack. Do anything you can to avoid Thunder Beam. This is actually really good advice. Thunder Beam is Mega Man's weakness. It will kill him from full health in 3 hits. It's actually a really good idea to just walk into Elec Man and keep iframes from contact damage, because you take significantly less damage from contact damage. There we go. You got to see both the contact damage and the thunder beam damage. With that out of the way, next up is Iceman. Icy floors can make you slip easily. If you slip, just jumping can help you stop. That's actually good advice. Ah, I hate these bots. Try to aim for these bots' heads when you try to defeat them. Because if you just destroy the bottom, they will separate and the head will continue attacking like you saw just then. So, Thunder Beam is probably the best just general utility weapon in Mega Man 1. It shoots a very large beam in front of you, as well as up and down from right in front of your gun. I suppose I don't really need this energy, but I'm going to take it anyway because it's there. Destroy the enemies by your feet. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea in this room if you're gonna try and jump on the blocks. First room's not too bad. The second room's a little more irritating. Looks like I can't hot swap to the magnet beam. I am going to use the magnet beam here, because without it, the way you cross is by jumping on those things. They're called footholders, and they are obnoxious. They are random in their movement, and they shoot out their sides. And the screen's not one you want to take without the magnet beam. Anyway, go up to your enemy's top and cross. If the enemy hits you, you'll fall. I think he's talking about the footholders here. Yeah. You don't want to just fall from the magnet beam because you will drop like a sack of potatoes. But yeah, it's much better to just use the magnet beam to cross this. Otherwise, that screen is very much a nightmare. Now that we have the magnet beam, we can just jump over the big eyes. And that's generally a good way to handle it. There's something in the shutter. Watch out! Adjust the height of the jump. Dodge the shot attack. Yeah, Iceman goes down pretty quick. Iceman is probably the robot master you are most likely to get hit by after defeating. Just make sure you avoid the ice slashers that are still on screen.